All right. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, and welcome to the second day of the plenary program at here in the Asian Conference on Art and Humanities, Cultural Studies and Social Sciences 2025. My name is Apipol Seitang. I am the academic coordinator from the International Academic Forum, and today I'll be your moderator for the forum discussion. And joining me on the other side of the presidential debate stage is Professor Umberto Ansaudo. He'll be the respondent for today. Anybody have been to the forum before? Wow, quite a few. Good, very good. But still, a lot of you haven't been to. Just to give a very broad, very general summarization, the forum is an open discussion session that is led by us. We'll set the topic, and it will be shaped by you. So you'll be giving a lot of ideas and thoughts and all that kind of thing. So in the next hour or so, you'll be doing a lot of talking. So the forum was debuted about a year ago, actually, at this conference in May 2024. And we started off with this very topic, global citizenship. And it's been carried over in our academic caravan to London, Barcelona, Kyoto, Tokyo Ken, Honolulu, Kuala Lumpur, and now it's back here in Tokyo. And yeah, we cover a lot of topics. Global citizenship, we talked about over-tourism, we talk about the role of community in education, AI and education, AI and psychology in education. And today it's global citizenship, cultivating a culture of peace. So Professor Umberto, Professor Ansaudo, would you give an overview and introduction of today's discussion?
Yeah, thanks, Apipol, and thanks, IAFOR, for having me again. Always good to be here. Thanks to you all for making it here on a relatively early morning of this Tuesday. I'm just going to summarize a few things from yesterday just to set the tone, and especially for those of you who might have been away yesterday. We had a panel on the topic of peace education, and we had 3 panelists who shared their work, their research, their experiences, and their thought on the matter of peace, on global phenomena, and on the possibility even to contemplate a role of education in building peace. And for those of you who were here, you will recall that while we all like to be very hopeful, we left on a very somber note, and the challenges that we identified are significant. In the first presentation, we heard about how memory can be constructed in many different ways. Some might want to say misconstructed, but in fact, all perspective, we were told, are in one way or another relatively true, or to some extent based on human experiences, and how the same event can be portrayed in very positive or very negative ways when it comes to depicting conflict and talking about winners and losers. In the second presentation, we heard about the challenges of education, which is often affected or dominated by nationalist narratives that perhaps not intentionally, but that lead to a kind of us-them divide that then can turn into negative attitudes towards other populations. And I think that many of us can relate to that if we think back of our days in school and how we were taught, for example, things like history. And in the third panel, we then heard about how difficult it is to tackle global challenges, and how difficult it is in that specific case to achieve solid climate diplomacies, despite the fact that it seems like many parts of the world recognize that climate is an issue that needs to be solved, and that it is not an issue that can be solved locally. And yet the unwillingness, not just in terms of international bodies, governments, but also in terms of individual attitudes towards doing what is right to address climate challenges. So some very, very big issues. And today, in a sense, we continue, but today is really for us, for me especially, who have a great interest in this panel, an opportunity to learn from you and from your experiences as educators, as researchers, as administrators, what you have observed, what has been done, or what you would like to do in terms of fostering a culture of peace in the environments in which you are active.
Right.
Now, just let me say one more
Yes.
thing. I want to thank the team because they have prepared some lovely slides, the IAFOR team, and some of them are to break the ice and make you talk to each other, but then they will lead you into conversations about these very topics, and where of interest or where necessary, we might have a conversation about the thoughts that you present. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Lovely. So we'll begin with an icebreaker question. If you won $1 million tomorrow, very specifically US dollar, what would you do with the money? Okay. I want you to gather in small groups, meet with some new people. If you're sitting next to your friend, stand up, or like just turn around, talk to each other. We'll give like a 3 minutes chat, and then we'll share what would you do with the money if you win it. Thank you. Okay. Maybe we could gather some insights from a couple of millionaires here. Who wants to go first? Who wants to share? What would you do if you have $1 million tomorrow?
And before you start, if you're going to speak on the microphone, please stand up and say your name, where you're from. It helps us write the report after the conference. And please do not speak without the microphone, because we do have people online as well that would like to hear you. So anybody want to go first? What would you do with $1 million?
There we go, the first millionaire.
Are you actually giving? It sounds like you're giving them $1 million.
No.
Good morning, colleagues. I am Sibulelo Mokapela from South Africa. As a millionaire, thanks to IAFOR, I'll be using this money for the development of the minority languages and cultures in South Africa. According to the Constitution, we have 11 official languages, the 12th being sign language. But in reality, we have almost 60 languages, which means there are 60 linguistic and cultural groups that are still marginalized. And the ones that are suffering the most are our learners, the children, because they go to school and they are forced by the system to adopt a culture that is foreign to their culture and learn in languages that they don't understand, they don't even speak at home. They don't dream in those languages. But when they have to come to school, when they are asked to even to write essays, they are expected to write dreams that are not their dreams. They have to marginalize and create instead of sharing their reality. So it's a pain. It's only now that people are starting to stand up and doing something. Starting this year, we have something that we call mother tongue-based bilingual education. And even the system is still reluctant in investing and embracing that. So it's only small groups that are doing that. Also, the one people they assume that Afrikaans is one of the dominant languages, but it's not. There's a community of colored people. They're coming up now with what we call Afrikaps. We have the first dictionary that is coming up now, Afrikaps, because there's a community that is speaking a language that is not Afrikaans, but people assume that is Afrikaans. Right. So I'll use my million in investing in those cultures and languages. Thank you so much, IAFOR, for the $1 million.
And may I remind you, this is an imaginary $1 million.
Hello, my name is Manar. I'm a professor from Saudi Arabia. If I get the $1 million, I think, speaking of peace, that I will invest it in rebuilding Gaza. Yeah.
Any more from this side of the room? There we go, in the middle. And then here.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Philip Kwa from Singapore, but working in the Philippines. Right. The question never states whether the $1 million is tax-free. So since it's not tax-free, 30% of the $1 million will go to tax, which means let the government take care of the country, whereas I will retire with the other $500,000, invest it somewhere else, and make my life more enjoyable, right?
And one over here, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Jose. I was born and raised in Ecuador, Manta, Ecuador, but I live in the US right now, and I represent Utah State with my colleague Selena. So $1 million don't sound as much right now to do an impact that I would like to create. So what I will do will be invested in something that will give me enough sustainability to work with youth, minority youths, specifically Hispanic youth in the US, to be able to invest in them so they can invest in the future of the US.
Okay. Anybody else? Maybe one more. No?
Surprised no one said buy a car or buy a house. Everybody's doing nice things.
Oh,
with
they
their
got
money.
everything. What do you think? Okay. Okay. There we go. So in this forum session, you are allowed to use your mobile phone, mobile devices. Make sure to switch off the sounds. So if you could pick up your mobile devices, scan this QR code. It's wonderfully prepared by Melina and Yofitu over there, really. So we'll talk about peace in the educational context. So the first question we wanted to ask you is, are you teaching or applying some form of peace education in your classroom or profession? And this is anonymous, really, so you're free to input anything. It will be anonymous until you raise your hand and say, I say yes because, I say no because. Okay. I think we have a very good stability of the poll now. Polls still coming in. But yeah, most like about half of you say yes, and about half of half say no, and yeah, there we go. And more or less, I don't know what peace education means. So, Professor, why don't we? Which do we want to start? A yes, a no, or probably I don't know.
Thanks. I think that the yes is probably going to teach us quite a bit about what peace education means. So I would like to hear some yes, tell us what specifically they do. Please raise your hand.
Anybody with a yes? Yes, thank you. Oh, we have some couple over here. So, yes.
Hi, my name is Audrey Paradis, and I represent Finland. I'm a teacher educator, and I teach undergraduate and graduate students in Finland about different topics that pertain to social justice. And so I do teach about peace education specifically, about critical peace education also, and referring to the yesterday's panel discussion to kind of connect together the memory, the mission, and the vision that were presented. I think that this idea of critical peace education relates to all of these three angles, especially thinking about the positive idea of peace. We talked yesterday a lot about the negative idea of peace and the relationship to war, but the positive idea of peace to uphold equity and fairness and justice for all. I think it's very theoretical, but when we break it down in teacher education, I think it's a pretty powerful tool. And that's something that at least I do in both the programs that I'm involved with.
Thank you very much. We have a couple on the back of the left there.
Can you put your hands
Yes.
up so I can see? Thank you.
Hello again, my name's Curtis. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I work for so I'm a native New Zealander. I work with, for our, I suppose our tribal organisation, which is looking at reclamation of our language and revitalisation of our cultural practices within everything we do. So I'm focused upon education, and peace for me within education is reconnecting our children back to nature. We believe that nature is key. There's a soothing influence and a calming influence that comes from. So education is not confined to a room. We go out into spaces because we believe that a heart away from nature becomes hard, and abuse and disrespect for nature and all the different aspects of nature soon leads to disrespect of humans as well. So we connect our children back to nature, and there's a calming. And so we're taught that there's nothing bad or evil in nature. So for us, this peace comes from reconnection back to our environment and nature. Kia ora. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, I'm Peggy Burrows and I'm also from Aotearoa, New Zealand. At the moment I work in a school called Hayata, and it's a school that has 5-year-olds right up to 18-year-olds and everything in between. So when we look at peace education, we have in New Zealand a thing, mātauranga Māori, it's Māori knowledge, and te ao Māori, which is the Māori worldview. So our peace education begins every morning with a thing called marito, and the whole school comes together for marito, and we're a secular school in a state's school system. So marito is about karakia and waiata in the first instance, and so if you're looking at peace, karakia connects our students, as my colleague has said, to themselves, to the spirituality that they affiliate to, but not necessarily to the Christian doctrines. And so everybody begins with karakia, and that is followed with waiata, which is song, and it connects us all together, and it focuses us on what we are there for and what is important. For our children, it's about nature, it's about connecting, but it's about understanding why you are there and the whole. Nobody in our school is an individual, although they strive very hard to be their very best, but they see themselves, their strength is in the collective, and to us that's what peace is about. You don't look at a person and make a judgment about who they are or what they look like. You look at a person as how they fit into the whole and how you can support them to be the very best they can be so that you can be the very best that you can be. And yeah, it's a joy. So kia ora koutou katoa. Thank you for having me and us.
Thank you. We see some curriculum and some methods, and also peace in different contexts, connecting to nature and becoming one together as a group with a shared value. Professor, how do we want to go next?
I just want to say that you have already done a brilliant work of setting down the pillars of what peace education is about. You have talked about inclusivity, diversity, and you have talked about epistemologies and the fact that there are many different ways of knowing, not just one, typically a Western-based / Eurocentric one. And these are really three of the pillars in terms of the theoretical framework of peace education. So it's really fairly high-level frameworks that you can bring into the teaching of anything. It's not just about history or culture or languages. It's also about how we teach science, how we teach chemistry, how we teach physics, and the fact that everything that we learn has applications both in the constructive positive and in the destructive negative, and the connection to culture has been highlighted many times as the experience that teaches us that everything that we do have a consequence for the system that we inhabit, that we are not isolated individuals that can simply work for themselves. The other side of peace education is the practice that we bring into the classroom. So there is the theory and there is the practice. What we teach our kids in terms of dialogue, in terms of agreement and disagreement across different worldviews in terms of how they can think that knowledge that they are acquiring can be applied for peaceful means. So there is a theory and there is a practice, and that is really peace education in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, maybe in response to that, probably a couple of no's. Maybe the reason why or what constrained you to do so. What stopped you or what forbid you to do peace education in your classrooms? Anybody with a no? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Fidi Ranawijaya. I represent University of Erfurt, Germany. I'm a PhD student, so I answered no because the second I chose to do a PhD student, I know that I'm going to face an unpeaceful life. It's, it's going to be 3 to 4 years of pain and sorrow. And I do believe in the current situation as well with the wars and conflicts that is happening in the world. It is very hard to even dare to be hopeful. And yeah, it is hard to see the children being bombed. And then, yeah, even it is like the very first ever perpetrations that is going live in the world, it is actually very clear that there is human right violations in the world, but we cannot do anything about it. How shameful we are. Unlike in the past when it is not televised at all, but nowadays it is televised, it is very clear, and yet the world has done nothing. So I'm very pessimistic about it.
Thank you. That points out to another layer on top of the education itself as well. We have a lot of questions, and I'm going to move forward to the next one. We talked about peace education in K to 12, high school, grad school. Now, in a university setting, are universities today in a good position to engage in peace education? That's probably linking to to your response there. Or is it too late by the time students join them? Yes, Matthew in the back, please.
Wendell Norkeer, University of the Western Cape. I think in Cape Town, we have students from school, pupils who come to university. They are in areas what we call the Cape Flats and gang-infested areas. So they go to school, have to go through metal bars. And the whole school is like a prison in some areas in Cape Town, actually close to our university. And I don't think those children come to university to learn about peace, because the only thing they know is violence. And some of them stay in the area and they come to university, so they're only 3 kilometers away. So they see violence when they go back home as well. So what can I do as a person who teaches criminal law and international criminal law? I can tell them about how can we combat gender-based violence, for example, and how can our laws be better? But at the end of the day, it's about the political will and the state. But yeah, I mean, that's just the reality we come from, just to share that with you. Thanks.
My name is Yili. I'm representing Vietnam, British University Vietnam. And I do not think it's too late at the university level. My students come from a monolingual and monocultural background. We are in the setting of a British higher education institution. So this is their first encounter with diversity, people from other cultural backgrounds, other confessions. And this is their first experience of learning to interact and build a relationship with people from other, like I said, other backgrounds. And this is what teaches them to accept diversity, to learn about other cultures and to respect them. So I do not think it's too late. I think university is the right level, at least in the context I'm working in. Thank you.
Matthew, sir, one in the back, please.
Thank you very much. Well, I am not a professor. However, I would say that it's never too late to start to engage in peace education at every level of education, I think. I hold a master program in international relations, and that was the first time for me when I was delegated to participate in a conference in Bangkok related to global peace. And I saw, well, there I met a lot of students, a lot of delegates, and I saw that actually there is a huge interest, especially at 20s and 25 years old, to engage in these activities. So after this event, I started to do my, well, let's say peace education, which wasn't in the classroom, in my classroom, but every time when I'm going back to my hometown, which is in northern Romania, I work there with in the high school. I studied. I worked there with kids on the relation between creative writing and peace education. So, and we are engaging in discussions about what is peace. They are around 7-10 years old, something like that, and we are engaging in this discussion. And they create. So who knows? Maybe after I'm going back from Japan, I will engage in a haiku session, because we have it after this session. So yes, I would say it's never too late to engage, and not necessarily if you have the formal classroom, or if you choose to do it just to engage in the community and try to pay attention to the young people, to the kids, and well, talk to them about what is peace, how do you see it, and so on. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I agree too. Like, because at times when you were studying in high school or whatever, you actually study the content that would build the foundation for when you are actually going into, well, that what is limited now in the higher education, peace education. When you're going into peace education, you probably think about no fighting, but also when in a broader framework of peace education, you talk about conflict resolution, you talk about repatriation, helping people after the war. What did you do with that? Professor Ansaldo, what do you think about this question?
It's obvious that there are a lot of reasons why one isn't particularly positive about the great hopes that a big label like peace education may have. And I think it's really important to be reminded of the fact that different things are possible in different contexts. And we heard it yesterday as well, especially from Professor Lal, in terms of describing the conditions under which education is actually transmitted in certain contexts in South Asia. So obviously some contexts and some institutions are going to have possibilities that are not yet available in others. I guess it's just worth considering that there are other ways in which universities can play a role beyond the teaching that happens in a classroom. Universities can generate policy. That is something that we see too little of. I'm personally a big advocate of the fact that academics need policy training, very, very sound policy training, to be able to produce research that is translatable and that can be adopted by governments without too much effort. We don't do enough of that. And of course, institutions can have representative roles in a given society and put out statements and missions and stand by them, trying to be a figure or an entity of peace advocation, despite the context of a specific government or society. But it's definitely a challenge. And of course, the much more influential domains of education happen really very early on. And it is in primary school and within families that some of the deepest values are instilled. So I appreciate all your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have one response to your response. Yes. Yes.
As I said before, like I wasn't born and raised in the US, I was born and raised in Ecuador, and we have a lot of education, not in peace, but a lot of political education. We have to be involved in political decisions since we're little because it affects like literally like directly or basic resources in Ecuador. But in the US, when I moved for college, and right now I'm a professor and I work a lot with youth, and I live in a conservative state. It's called Utah. And I think one of the hardest things, we don't do peace education. We were discussing just now what's the most closer topic to peace education that we have, and it's conflict management in general, but in the individual level. So I guess one of the questions that I have for everyone, and you can come to me later if you want, is in a place like the US that has a lot of different opinions, it has free speech and all this, right? How can you include this in very tense or political times? How can you bring this new topic to youth or to families where you don't know how families are going to react? So I guess if you are already applying it, probably you have a response on that. But I feel it's hard when you have families involved and also government involved on this.
All right, thank you very much. Now, with a very limited time we have here, I'm gonna go in a step back a bit into a more wider or probably less choice, less a choice of a variety of choice here. We should make the world a more peaceful place, fewer competitions or more potlucks.
Maybe a little bit explanation,
Melina?
Apipal?
Potlucks are when everybody brings a dish to a dinner and everybody shares food together and has a good time.
So it's a metaphor of having an understanding between one another. Is that what you mean?
I guess it's about creating a sense of community. So do you want to reduce? I shouldn't be explaining that until after the answers come in, actually.
Well, but it's just a definition of potluck, really, to get people to actually answer to it.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Sharing is caring. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. It's food metaphor then.
I don't know how much potlucks are a thing consistent around the world. I mean, in Japan, I don't think many Japanese people know what a potluck is.
Anybody with a potluck culture? You bring food to the yeah. There we go.
Okay,
There we go. Lovely, lovely. Okay, you can still input your poll, but anybody, Professor Ansaldo, how do we want to do with this one? Do we want to, which one do we want to go first, or just any?
Let's just hear what our colleagues have to say on any of these.
Okay, all right. So anybody who's ready to share, do you want to tell? There we go. Matthew, sorry, one at the back, please.
Can you put your hands up so I can see? Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Angela from the Philippines and Taiwan. So primarily, Philippines is known for potluck. So you go to an event and then you bring something, any food that you'd like to share. And I'll be getting this response based from my experience because I'm both from the Philippines and, well, not really from Taiwan, but I am in the middle of a new culture, which is Taiwan, which I think is kind of what is the essence of the question. Because if you would like to bring something from your own, which in my case from the Philippines, I have to acknowledge first the idea of the culture, who will be receiving me. Are they okay with whatever it is that I will be bringing? Just for example, I like to cook beef stir fry. So I cooked. I did not ask if they liked it or if it's okay. So when I brought it to the office, they said, "Oh, we don't eat beef because of our religion." So the idea is you have this entire identity with you, but you also need to consider the beliefs, traditions of the people that you will be offering your ideals to. It's fun to share, but it's smarter to ask first. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Potluck goers? There we go.
Kia ora no tātou. One of the central principles we have within our culture is that of manaki. And that's we have a principle of care and respect and generosity for others. That our value is not based upon what we have, but what we give away. And so that is a core component in everything that we do.
Thank you. That's very nice, very nice. The majority, the chill and chilly type of person. Yes.
So, well, I don't know exactly what you mean by this competition, but if if it's academic or sports competition, then I'm all for it because, well, I personally think that the Christian idea of paradise, a paradise must be a very boring place. It's where all the good people go. But like, what's the fun about it? So I think that no matter how much we are all for peace, but we need a little bit of spice. When it comes to sports competition, I mean, they're a great relief for all the, these drive for achievement, and they're also a source of national pride. I mean, we can, like when we can beat this country in ice hockey, or I mean, God forsake if we can beat England in football one day. I mean, yeah. So I would say both. We need some kind of balance. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say that I hesitated a bit between both and neither. And I think this probably will make us think a bit about what else would make the world a more peaceful place. Because I think it's not only about pure competition or more potlucks. It's a whole system of policies behind, and not only policies, but also the effectiveness of their implementation, education. So it's a very broad answer. But why I answered both, for me, it was difficult to say we only need fewer competition, because the reality shows that, well, other people, they don't have their basic needs covered. So in that sense, it's very difficult to only talk about, well, abstract things and, okay, what competition means, because for them, maybe, well, competition is who gets to eat first this day. So, and yeah, in terms of competition itself, well, probably it makes us sometimes to be not to pay too much attention to other people's needs. So we need to find a balance somewhere. But yes, I'm also for competitions when it comes to academia, to sports, and well, games and so on. So depends on which level or which place the competition takes in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And one more, Matthew.
Kia ora koutou, me again. I just loved your story. It resonated with me with regard to food, because I think food is something that does bring us together. And it reminded me of a story when I was an undergraduate. I'm a very shy person, and I met another student on day one of our university journey, and we were both lost, but our lockers were next to each other. And so I invited her to dinner, and I can't cook. The only thing that I can cook is pork fried rice. So I spent all afternoon slaving away making the pork fried rice, and she arrived, and the look of horror on her face, and she said to me, "I'm Jewish." And that lesson stayed with me my whole life. about the peaceful nature of the world. And you really, by making those mistakes, you learn from them, and it stayed with me my whole life. And I think the thing about competition is we actually need competition. My girlfriend Juliet, who was the jury girl, we competed against each other our whole lives, but in that form where we were only trying to be the best that we could be, but we sparked off each other. So competition is not a negative thing. I think we actually do need it, but we need to know that it drives us first and makes us better. And then by making ourselves better, we make the people around us better. So remember the fried rice story. Kia ora.
Thank you for sharing. I was particularly surprised by this, but then again, that just shows that I'm an outlier when it comes to this conversation, and I'm actually going to disagree with most of you on this matter, and you'll have to allow me a moment to elaborate why. The human being is defined fundamentally by two poles. One is the one to survival, which is our animal side, and the other one is the amazing ability to live in huge clusters of humans, which no other primates even have, because if you were chimps, you would be crawling on each other, picking, fighting. If there is any food, you would be fighting over that and trying to assault the opposite sex, but you're not doing that. So collaborative, competitive, these are the two poles where we exist. But competition, if you think about it ancestrally, has a reason. You compete to survive. You compete when there is not enough for everyone who lives in a certain ecosystem to go around, and you have to be the first. I too love sports and competitive sports, and sports again evolve in society exactly because of that, to create a safe and controlled environment where competition happens and where we can watch as spectators. But in a world that has come this long, and where actually we know that there are enough resources for everyone to go around, it's just that they are very, very poorly distributed. To have too much competition is totally unnecessary. And yet, many of us, I try not to, but we teach our kids to grow up competitively. We breed individuals that all want to win. And in a purely logical way, not everybody can win. Everywhere there is a winner, there's going to be a loser. And where there are big winners, there are large populations of losers. So for me, competition in sports, fantastic. But competition in the education of our children, in the classroom, in the institutions, in academia, where institutions are pitched against each other to be best rather than collaborate with each other to produce more powerful research and knowledge. That, to me, is a bit of a serious problem of our times. We need to give up that idea that we need competition to stay alive. We don't. We need collaboration to stay alive. I know this is highly idealistic, but I think it's something that is really important if we want to seriously think about peace. And as we were reminded yesterday, there is a very good reason for peace, which makes everybody happy. Peace is good for business. Nobody can disagree with that. How wonderful is that? So this for me really is important, and I thank you for bringing it to the attention of everyone, but I think it's really, really worth analyzing. Thank you.
No, it's nice. Thank you very much. It's about step by step, isn't it? Moving to finding a balance until you can actually have less competition. Now, resonating from Professor Ansaldo's and everybody's response here, can we cultivate peace by developing systems that discourage competition and encourage collaboration? Theoretical, practical answers, any answers is possible. Anybody wants to share? Maybe you can gather in groups and talks. Sorry, Matthew, in the back, please. You can chat together.
Yeah, we do encourage you guys to talk amongst each other to formulate your thoughts,
you can
right?
talk. You can talk together. It's totally fine. It's now very fine to speak. There's no quiet please sign today. Yes. competition, collaboration.
Every time we have one of these questions.
Time's up. So, can we cultivate peace by developing systems that discourage competition and encourage collaboration? Yes.
Greetings, my name is Dennis. I'm from Sydney, Australia. When we look at competition and collaboration, we tend to look at it in terms of a bipolar type absolute. And that tends to be the Western thinking of paradox. However, the Asian thinking of paradox involves what's called the Tao, which basically means two opposite forces being in flux with one another within the whole system. So you can potentially have competition and collaboration coexisting. That's the answer that I'd be looking for. Cheers.
Oh, thank you. I mean, in a sense, if you're looking at this as an individual, it would be a bipolar. But if you're looking at as a team or as an institution, probably you would have a more collective source that it could balance this out in one end or the other.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, my voice is a bit off, too much fried chicken. Okay, anyway, I just want to actually reframe some of the questions and the thoughts I have. And I'm the one who chose, I don't know what peace education is, because I'm just wondering if peace education often is driven by the need for an outcome of peace. And my question is, where's the space for people who say, I don't want peace so fast. I want to deal with the sin. I want to deal with the guilt. I want to deal with the anger from the victim's point of view. And I'm wondering how much space is that given for peace education? And that comes to my point about the idea of competition and collaboration. And I come back to maybe the potluck idea, where coming from a multi-ethnic, multi-racial society like Singapore or Southeast Asia as a region, there are also people who say, I'm the minority, I do have dietary restrictions, but because I'm the minority, I don't want to be the troublemaker. So I go to a place with different kinds of food that may not be my liking, but I live with it. And I'm wondering how much of peace education, thinking about competition and collaboration, gives space for people who say, well, I'm not going to impose. I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to try and survive in a different way. So that's really the question I want to bring. Thanks.
Any more responses? Or maybe Professor Ansado, you can go first. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So, yes, I will always choose collaboration over the system that encourages competition. That's because, well, I studied in 3 different European countries, and I've experienced both ways. I realized that actually collaboration is a better way to deal with things, especially in the university, where the university asks you to do so. It's not going to be without this feeling of competing, even if you are in a group when you are asked to collaborate for solving an issue. So I encountered this system of collaboration in the university where I studied in Denmark, which is Aalborg University, and it has a very, I don't know if it's innovative or not, it's called problem-based learning, where actually the exams for many subjects, so the students are asked to work in teams for their exam. Which is can be kind of tough. And when people from different systems, from different universities around the world come together, well, we have a clash of all these systems when we are asked to work together. And then you can see, okay, here it was probably a university system that was very competitive, because we were at the master level, so already having the bachelor's, and then we had to work together, and I can say it wasn't without drama or without competition, but at the end of everything, and after repeating this each semester, well, we realized something, that's the way to work, that's the way to actually encourage people to find the beauty in the diversity of their culture, to understand each other, and to understand in the end how a system, and especially university systems and educational systems, forms us. Thank you.
Kia ora. It just occurs to me what we do in our kura, our school. So when we say, can we cultivate peace by developing a system that encourages us to collaborate so we can compete? So if you're like us, we're equity index 500 plus, which means we're one of the poorest schools in the country. So what we need to teach our students, our akonga, is how to collaborate so that we can in fact compete. Because as has been pointed out to us, it's human nature to want to compete. And if we look at what's happening in Ukraine, for example, at the moment, Ukraine is having to collaborate in order to compete against Russia. If it's going to achieve any sort of a result, it is necessary that it is able to have a huge collaboration with people that will help them. Otherwise, they can't compete. So competition, I think, is with us forever. It's how we make a framework where we can collaborate so that we can compete effectively and win.
Thank you. I'm going to have to cut this short. Professor, would you want to wrap up as a response? We have about 2-3 minutes left.
Why don't we carry on with is there one more question?
There's one more question,
yeah.
But
why don't we do that instead so that we leave enough time?
Okay, good. Very quickly, get your smartphone up, scan the QR code, tap yes or no. And of course, we have a few minutes left for you to speak out here in this room, but we have publication opportunities. So we have Think magazine. That's an online magazine. You can submit your writing to us, or as a response to this question, the whole forum, and we will include it in the conference report. Is peace at all possible, or is it conflict? Is conflict part of human DNA? Possible peace. Peace possible. Anybody wants to give a shout out in the mic?
Hi, I think we first of all must look at the factors that interrupt peace education, to know it and to tackle them, to handle them. For example, mistrust of the other, of peace agreements, of treaties. The other thing is demonization and dehumanization of the other. We have to learn and study the other in order to make it recognizable. Other things are, for example, conflicts of values. We ought to understand the value of universal and human values, and not to be driven to nationalism and other things that drive us far away from peace.
Thank you very much. Understanding is the key. What about the no? One no, please. We have yeah. We'll get back to you.
I said no, it's impossible. I'm sorry. And it connects to the previous question as well. I think we can create systems of peace, but unfortunately for a limited time. And I think everything we do always goes in a circle. So we start with a bad experience, war, conflict. We create systems to make our world more peaceful. Then you have 2-3 generations after, they forget. And they do the whole thing all over again. And I think it's just impossible to have, I know the ideal is to have peace, a constant peace, but that's impossible, realistically speaking.
Thank you. We have a couple of, we have a lot of no's in the front here as well. Yes.
I did not answer no. I wanted to answer yes for both. I think conflict is part of human DNA, but I believe in peaceful conflict. So I see peace and conflict as something that
coexists,
is eternal. But the important thing is no violent conflict. So I believe it, but no, and there's a possible peaceful world in terms of no violent conflict, but conflict will be with us forever.
A couple of no's from the front here as well.
Yeah, just quickly responding to the previous questions on the how to encourage like peace educations in higher education, abolish the university rankings. How can we educate more collaboration if the university are still applying the rankings and still obsessed to reach number one? And then a lot of universities in Europe has been doing that to just like retract themselves from the university ranking so that they can also practice it, not only educating, which is nonsense if you're only educating it. I do agree to your statement regarding the piece that is impossible. Impossible in the world, because like the feeling of peace can only be done, can only be like felt if you have the conflict before. The sense of peace can really be felt if you have like the conflict before. So it's kind of like it's kind of like it is kind of a circle. It's like being secure, you know. It's like being insecure, you know. Security is needed by those who are feeling insecure, and so does peace.
Thank you. Sofiana, you want to say a word? Okay, you're good. you were raising your hand. All right, Professor. Good. I think it's time to wrap up.
I think we're out of time. I think
Yes.
that this was a great wrap up of the session with some very important and valuable comments. So I just thank everyone for participating. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And of course, if you're feeling inspired or you have something more to say, you can always write to us. We have Think Magazine, as I was mentioned earlier, and also we're co-writing the conference report. So anything you're saying in here will be included. If you want to elaborate more, you can write and submit to us. It'll be anonymous. It'll just be like delegate from whatever country for your anonymity. Thank you.